Hi, it's Dave McKendry with the Canadian Electricity Association. I'm Senior Fellow with the CEA, and I'm pleased to be your host today on the Future is Now series. And we're chatting about a smart community microgrid with renewable energy and storage. And I'd like to welcome Falguni and Harry and Craig, who are going to discuss with us this particular project. And Falguni, maybe we'll start with you. Perhaps if you could tell us a little bit about how Elexicon Energy's project in this regard came to be, and also why is this project unique?
Yeah, thank you, David. This project is basically the Elexicon's vision towards the futuristic utility. At Elexicon, we have done mimicking residential microgrid project at our headquarter office. And then we wanted to do something which can benefit beyond the residential customers, which can help our community or commercial or in future industrial customers too. So when there is a ministry, Smart Grid funding came up, Harry from Opus One as well as Elexicon started talking about that. How can we utilize this fund and then demonstrate something which can be benefit to the utility as well as customers too? And that's why all this project has came up. And then eventually we contacted our local builder, Marshall Homes, and then they were about to build the new community, and they have also innovation vision. So three of us together with the help of ministry funding, and at the end we combined the IESO innovation fund for this project for smart grid extension and beyond vision, and that's how this project whole came up. The one factor I wanted to say uniqueness about this project is this is a first in kind of a planned community microgrid, because a lot of people has done microgrid project, but this community has one resident which has another microgrid to itself. So this is a microgrid within microgrid and nested microgrid. So this is a first in kind in Canada planned nested community microgrid project with renewable energy as well as battery storage. The another uniqueness is because this battery storage unit is a three-phase unit, we need to bring the three-phase power into the community. Usually we have seen that all the subdivisions or community townhomes are fed by single phase power, but this is a three-phase because the uniqueness nature of the power pack we are using at the community, and that's what the uniqueness came from.
Wow, sounds like a very interesting and also complex project. And I think just for those of our viewers who may not be completely familiar, what exactly is a community microgrid? And how does the smart community microgrid affect the customers who live in the vicinity?
This community microgrid is more about, I would say, decentralized generation. We all are familiar with generation, but mostly generation comes from centralized location like nuclear power or Niagara Falls or Bruce power. But this is a decentralized local generation. So I would say generation and load both resides within this small geographic area, and it is managed locally at the community level. So various distributed resources, solar panel, battery, as well as electric vehicle charging, everything together is managed at the local level. And to answer to your question that how it is affecting the customers who lives near the community, I would say they have more control as well as they can be a part of the market participant in future, as well as they can utilize this resources as per their need as well as for reliability perspective. And I would like Harry to explain a little bit more on this regard.
No, thanks, Falguni. I think as you've stated, I mean, it's really a partnership of all three of us kind of coming together to do this. If all three partners didn't come together, obviously the vision would not be realized. So what makes it unique, to Falguni's point, is there is, on this condominium complex of 27 homes, there is a solar panel, a huge one, that actually generates power. And where Elexicon was quite a leader was that they actually took that power and they actually say from a load perspective, they're able to give discounts. So it's not a VPP or a virtual power plant in the traditional sense, but it is considered a virtual power plant by virtue of the utility and the homes and the developer actually working together to achieve a fundamental construct, which is you have to self-generate from a community, you can self-use it, which is far more efficient, and where the utility is willing to play ball to ensure that the price point from a consumption perspective is much lower. Furthermore, if there is overgeneration, then Elexicon owns the power pack storage in that community, which provides resiliency for the community. So if you look broader from a climate change perspective, here's where Elexicon again has taken a leadership with Marshall Homes in kind of future-proofing from a resilience perspective, while at the same time, anything that is stored can be used by Elexicon for its own grid needs. Should there be a voltage sag, a ripple on that feeder, which is the electrical line that serves that community. So it's really layered in terms of consumer safety and resiliency, price point lowering, self-generation from a sustainability perspective, while at the same time those assets are harnessed and used for utility as well. So in one way, you could talk about it from return of investment, using the same asset for multiple purposes, rather than installing far more assets to get the same benefits.
That's great, Harry. Thank you very much. Turn it over to Craig. From your perspective, Craig, the customers, what's your observation been from their perspective?
Well, the customers are, a few people are quite eager to get into this. They believe in it. And on the larger perspective, besides getting some payback for the energy they produce and uninterrupted energy in a power outage, they're also contributing to the larger good by being in this pilot project that can take theory into practice and hopefully build that into a larger sustainable community in the future. And I think that's the exciting part about it, getting it, where the tire hits the road. This is where it happens, and I think builders have to participate in this more.
That's great. So, from your perspective, what would it take? What does it take to get this type of project into mainstream from a builder's perspective?
Well, a lot of it has to do with just getting the, we use trades, quite large trades that have to go now to three-phase like Canalco. And once you start doing that and putting it into practice, the next one becomes easier and easier. We've done this with gray water recycling. We've done it with geothermal solar and different things along the way. But it's interesting because these large trades look at it and say, well, how are we going to make this work? And how does this work in the real world? And that brings it, the next time it comes around, they know what they're dealing with. And it takes a lot of work, quite frankly. But it does take it to the next level that can be adaptable and move forward the next time it happens. And hopefully it happens sooner than later. And hopefully we have self-sustainable communities from it.
Oh, great. Thanks very much. And maybe we'll go back to Falguni and Harry. And so exactly why do you think customers want more choice and control of their power use? From their perspective, why?
Maybe I'll begin here. I think, from a pure consumer perspective, I think choice is a big factor. It is hard to have choice when electrical utilities have their own territory of service. So the best way I think Elexicon has led here can show choice is for letting the customer actually generate their own power or decrease consumption. So some of the homes will have, smart thermostats, which will enable and incent the customer not to use as much electricity. So really giving the customer the mandate to decrease their load if they want to save electricity, but rather almost control their cost consumption. So that is the way that I think Elexicon has given choice rather than, in Alberta, for example, retailers versus wholesalers. So that doesn't exist in Ontario. So I think Elexicon has empowered its customers and consumers under a different model. What I would also say is that, I think Craig pointed to it, that it is a sustainable community in the sense that there is an electric vehicle charger that is part of the microgrid. What perhaps he didn't say is that if there is a power outage, that charger, because it's tied to the power pack, will actually charge cars, irrespective if the cars are part of the community or the broader community that may find that charger to come service, which is, if you look at broader societal benefits, that's actually a beautiful thing that's been built into it. Lastly, I'd say, it's ability for Elexicon to kind of control, monitor, and not to take anything from Falguni's language here, but this could become a model community for Seton, which I think she can talk about, which is a massive development. I think one of the largest in Canada, if I'm not too mistaken, setting the stage for what is possible when you plan such a mixed-use community.
Great, Falguni. What are your comments?
Yeah.
Why would Elexicon be interested in helping your customers have more choice and control?
Yes, yeah. So as Harry mentioned, quite a few points which are very important for the customers. The Elexicon, always customers are first. We are for customers. As well as with this renewable technology, as well as solar invention, customer wants to be a more control over their energy portfolio, as well as customers also wants to be a part of green energy as well as health environment. So as a part of it, whenever they wanted to utilize more renewable energy as well as help environment, they would have to have a control, and they can help by using their storage during charging during night time and then using during peak hours. So that's a great help for the utility for the peak saving purpose, and it can impact largely on our investment deferral too. We don't need to invest or build more substation to meet the peak power demand if our customers are supporting us. So by giving them more control, not only they are helping themselves, not only they are helping the environment, but they are helping grid as well. And from our control room perspective, our control operators will have a more visibility, and they are working with more and more with our customers and managing our grid demand. So that's very important to give customers more choice.
Great, thanks. Craig, from your perspective, when you're dealing with end customers, why do they want choice and control?
I think it's it's interesting when you plug your put your plug in, whether you're getting it from gas or whether you're getting it from nuclear or sustainable or not sustainable. And I think in this case, they're getting more sustainable energy in their plug. And I think people want to know where their energy is coming from and have control over that. And by producing their own energy, I think they're it's people do want green energy, I think, above and beyond all. And in this case, we're providing more of it. And it's something very positive for them.
Well, that's great. Thank you. Thanks very much. Now, I'm sure it's beyond just the three of your organizations. There must be other partners that are involved in this. Might you make a comment on that? Harry, we'll start with you.
Sure. No, I mean, as you said, it does take a village to rise a project like this. No pun intended, Craig. He did build a village after all, but it was not easy, right? I mean, it took a long time, and I think with COVID, there were certain delays that none of us expected, especially Craig. But the tenacity was made easier by partners like the Toronto Regional Conservation Authority, City of Pickering. I think the Mayor of Pickering and the Chief Administrator's Office, Elexicon, as they had moved from Viridian to Elexicon, still to stick with it. And I think more importantly, the Ministry of Energy early on, the IESO and NRCan in supporting not only any of the partners, but also Opus One in technology development that led birth to field testing our distributed energy resource management system, as well as interfacing with the microgrid system that ultimately made all of this possible. And then the leveraging that we're able to provide.
That's great. Thank you. Falguni.
And to Harry's point, yes, I would like to say that we become Viridian to Elexicon Energy, and our President and CEO, Leslie Gollinger, as well as our board has a vision of a strategic investment, as well as sustainable development, economic development. So they have a vision to go and move ahead with a demonstration project which can help benefit to the customer, grid, as well as assist with the futuristic utility model. So I like to thank them as well for their support.
Well, great. Thank you very much. Final question in closing is, I'm just going to ask you to describe electricity from your perspective with one word, and we'll just go around the horn. Craig, we'll start with you. How would you describe electricity? One word.
Hope.
Excellent. That's an excellent word to describe. Harry, how about you?
I would say reliability.
Great, thank you. And Falguni, last word to you.
Yep. So to my mind, there is no life without electricity. So since you awake in the morning till you go to bed, you need electricity each and every step, as well as electricity is needed all part of your life, not only for the customers, but or not only every mankind, but at industrial level, at commercial level, in the hospitals, at work, everywhere. So I would say that there is no life without electricity. So one word for electricity is life.
Well, great. Thank you. Thank you to each of you. Falguni, thank you. Harry and Craig, thank you for taking the time to be with us on the Future is Now series on behalf of the Canadian Electricity Association.